Alright, Shalom. Before I start, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakakrash, the honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all like the Akim Wa Aqua, learning and teaching in truth and sincerity into the video through the Spirit. Brother Malak from GMS Detroit. Alright, y'all, hey, this is something I just learned about today. And this shit, I literally have my blood boiling. There's two things. I could separate it. I'm either gonna put them in one whole video or I'll separate it, y'all. It's dealing with Esau Edom, the so-called white man, which are the biblical Edomites. You have our detractors, people who come up against us, who try to dispute that fact and, you know, try to tell us that we should not hate white people, that we should not despise them, we're incorrect, you know, everybody makes mistakes, all this, all that. Well, when you look at the track record and the history of the things that white people do planetary wide, all right, globally, it's nothing but cause pain and suffering for anyone or anything around them. And what we're going to look at is something that might not be well known, but it's some of the absolute demonic activity that the so-called Canadians were committing against the natives. All right, now we're used to focusing on the Native American Indians, but you also have the, I'll use the term, Native Canadian Indians, right? They also too were getting killed and butchered and misdone by the so-called white man back then and still to this day. And so what we're going to look at is this activity that they call Starlighting Tour, y'all. I just found out about this. A chick from Canada was telling me about this, y'all. And it still goes on to this day. But in certain parts of Canada, especially the parts that get extremely cold, you know, like -20 and whatnot in the winter, the police will kidnap natives, so-called Indians, right? Indigenous people. They will drive them far out from cities and civilization in the wintertime, in the middle of storms and at the cold of night, and will drop them off and leave them there to die. Many times, you know, they'll be drunk, or they'll be, you know, they'll strip them of their clothes. They'll drive out into the woods in winter and leave them out there, y'all. Tens of hundreds of thousands of people. And there's also something else known as the 60s scoop, where due to the fact that, you know, the natives have their own tribal customs, child welfare services would use that to take the children, you know, say, oh, you know, you're raising your children up in you know, in a harmful manner, you know, because their customs are different. They would take their children from their household and give them off to Edomite families to completely, you know, whitewash them, y'all. The so-called white man is not only a demon here in America, but he's a fucking demon everywhere on the planet Earth. And I'm gonna let some clips play. This, y'all, I was mad. Hey, and up here in Detroit, man, you can cross the bridge in 20 minutes and be in Canada. All right, this should make you want to go pay that little toll and go put the beats on every fucking Edomite you come across. They're not good anywhere. There's not a single one of them that's good. Not a single Edomite. Edomite in Finland, Edomite in New Zealand, Edomite in goddamn Australia. They're all everywhere evil, and all they do is evil, no matter where they go. All right, it says the Saskatoon freezing deaths. The Saskatoon freezing deaths involved indigenous Canadians in and immediately outside Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and you have brothers in Saskatchewan, Canada. There's brothers out there that go out there and preach. It says in the 1900s and early 2000s, and this actually really goes all the way back to the 60s, y'all. And y'all gonna see the proof. I'm gonna pull up the video in a minute. It says and are suspected of being linked to actions by the members of the Saskatoon Police Service. The police officers would arrest indigenous people who were usually male for alleged drunkenness and or disorderly behavior, sometimes without cause. The officers would then drive them to the outskirts of the city at night in the winter and abandon them, leaving them stranded in sub-zero temperatures. The practice is known as taking indigenous people on Starlight tours and dates back to at least 1969 as of 2021. Despite convictions for related offenses, no police officer has been specifically convicted for having caused freezing deaths. You motherfuckers, man. And there's been several cops that they know that they grabbed dudes up and dropped them off, and not a single one of them has been convicted of this shit. And which convictions ain't what we looking for. We know that judgment is coming from Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, and can't wait for this shit, y'all. You know, it's not just about us, you know, in America and these hoods suffering. Our people is getting getting oppressed worldwide. All right, so let's start with a verse, and we'll go around, y'all. Esau, Edom. There's a reason why we have to completely exterminate him as a people, because no matter everything that he does is to your detriment and to your hurt. Damn it. All right, and I'll start with this right here, because no matter how much information we bring to light, this man, Esau Edom, the so-called white man, he's just constantly gets to slide away with all the evil that he's done in the world. And here it is, we're painted as the bad guys and seen as crazy for spotlighting him. All right, Zechariah 11:5. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. Okay. This man, Esau Edom, he came here and colonized and brutalized the natives. He kidnapped the Negroes from the west coast of Africa. He rules over us, he kills us, and he's able to slide off. All right. That's not, you know, we're dealing with the upper part of that verse. All right, because the wicked of our people also, you know, sell out and destroy their own so they can get goods as well. But Esau Edom, man, this guy's a motherfucker, y'all. Let me let this play, man. I'm gonna play two clips. I was watching this when I was, you know, watching this, y'all. I was in silence, just infuriated.
January 28, 2000. It was a cold winter's night in Saskatoon, Canada. Two police officers picked up an intoxicated man named Daryl Knight. The police found Daryl at a party where an argument broke out, and he was found shouting obscenities. Instead of taking him to the drunk tank to sleep it off, as Daryl expected, the police drove Daryl out of town. In sub-zero temperatures, the police stopped in an isolated spot. They dragged Daryl out, slammed his face on the front of the car, removed his handcuffs, and got back into the car without him. As the police were about to drive off, Daryl yelled, "I'll freeze out here. What's wrong with you guys?" Daryl hears one of the policemen respond, "That's your problem."
Forgive me, y'all, but just think of that. Put yourself in those shoes for 10 seconds. Let's say you was drinking you a little bit sloppy, right? You get kidnapped, beat up a little bit, dropped off in the cold. They pull off and say, "This is your fucking problem." Boy, your ass is gonna be sober instantly, because immediately you know you're in a life or death situation, and most likely death. Then the amount of people that they did this to, that we know about, is astounding.
Daryl Knight is a member of the Cree Nation. The Cree are a North American indigenous people who primarily live in Canada. It is for this reason Daryl Knight was left to fend for himself in the freezing Canadian winter. Unfortunately, Daryl wasn't the first man to experience this. This practice is known as taking Indigenous people on a Starlight tour. A Starlight tour is when an often intoxicated Indigenous man is taken outside the city in in sub-zero temperatures and left there. They often have their clothing taken away as well, further exposing them to the elements. The earliest documented case of this was in 1976, and they continue to happen today. In the middle of the freezing Canadian snow, and ill-equipped to cope in these conditions, Daryl Knight started walking. As the snow and wind pushed against him, Daryl felt he was making no progress, and he recalls becoming increasingly colder. After what felt like a lifetime, Daryl managed to find a power station. Daryl Knight had survived.
And that's how we learned about this. The Spirit Party Hawabashim Yahushua, the Lord set it up. Daryl was one of the first people to survive this shit, y'all. From 1976, man. Imagine, just put yourself in them shoes. Just put yourself in them fucking shoes. I'm susceptible to the cold. I'm gonna let y'all know right now. I got about a good 7 minutes in me. And some negative 20, I'd have flopped the fuck out. But the Lord preserved him so that this shit could come to light, man. So we could put the spotlight on this fucking devil. This is some demonic ass. This is some, masochist, sadist type activity.
When news broke out about Daryl's ordeal, the city of Saskatoon was shocked. Rumours had been circulating for years that the police were abducting Indigenous people and leaving them in the snow, but it could not be proved. One day after Daryl Knight's ordeal, the body of Rodney Nastas was found close to where Daryl was dropped off. Then, just a few days later, a third Indigenous man, Lawrence Kim Wegner, was discovered near the same location. With Daryl's testimony and the fact that at least 5 deceased Indigenous men were found in a similar area to where Daryl was left, there was now evidence to help prove the rumours. The police officers that dropped Daryl off that night claimed no wrongdoing. They explained that Daryl said, "Look boys, drop me off anywhere, just don't take me in and charge me," and the officers say that they obliged. The 2 officers were found guilty of unlawful confinement and sent to prison for 8 months. The police chief of Saskatoon has confirmed that these Starlight tours were conducted by the police force and offered an official apology. Starlight tours serve as a reminder of the broader conflict between law enforcement and the Indigenous population. No police officer has been charged for the deaths of any Indigenous person as a result of taking them on a Starlight tour. The fight for justice will continue to go on.
Y'all do the math. If they found bodies at the same exact spot where this guy was dropped off, who the hell do you think dropped them off there? Does it take rocket science? No, it don't take rocket science. But when you're dealing with the devil, he doesn't deal with justice. So I got another clip, and this one, okay, right here, it says 130,000 deaths occurred in Saskatchewan in the span of 1990 to 2003. Do you not, man? That's so many. That's bodies a day, and we're gonna look at this next story, and it's actually with this Jake right here. A young Gadite, Neil Stonechild. That's a hell of a name too, but Neil Stonechild didn't make it past 17, y'all. We gonna look at what happened. This man hold up, let me get another scripture, y'all. This guy, there's a reason why the Lord says we're gonna completely wipe them out. We're gonna erase the remembrance of Amalek. The levels that he hates us to, there's not anything he's not willing to do to us. All right, and we're not incorrect, we're not hateful, we're not evil for our feelings towards this man, because what he actually does to us is just ungodly. They stopped, said it's your fucking problem, and kept it going. But they wasn't counting on him surviving. The Lord preserved him. I'm gonna go back to that Genesis, because every single Edomite, no matter how nice they might appear to be or pretend to be, they all have that ancient hatred inside of them that Esau had for Jacob. It's in every last single one of them. As Genesis 27 and 41, And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. And that's the spirit that all Edomites carry to this day, which is why they have set up laws to entrap you and to snare you, which is why they have no problem shooting you, and will lie and say, you know, he's reaching for my gun or whatever the hell. In which, you know, all at the end of the day, it's all judgment, right? Northern Kingdom had to get punished for their wickedness, you know, came over here, eventually turned to idolatry and whatnot. Nevertheless, all this blood spilled will be required of you, Edom, and you will not be able to escape. And soon, your perfect image that you have in the eyes of the world, it will be revealed that you're an absolute demon. Because what's crazy about it, he does all this evil and all this killing of us, and yet he's still seen as goodly and right and holy, and we're still seen as the wicked ones. Absolutely maddening. Right here, Salat 12, and I'm gonna start at I'll start at 16. It says, an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he findeth an opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. And that is the whole spirit of Edom. He pretends like he's as good people, like he cares. Like he, you know, he cares about your liberty, your, was it liberty, happiness, and freedom from all, you know, equality, you know, oh, we're not racist, oh, you know, he cares to pretend. He cares, he pretends that he cares. He pretends that he's this noble, righteous man who's done all these good deeds, world democracy, and this motherfucker is a festering monstrosity. His spirit is evil on the inside, but he puts on a three-piece suit and he's inside of a Lexus, and so these people fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. But we not falling for it anymore. So I'm gonna let this next one play now.
Saskatoon is a city located in the province of Saskatchewan, Canada. It has a population of 222,000 people and is the most highly populated area in all Saskatchewan. On top of this, Saskatoon has the second highest crime rate in the province, including crime committed by law enforcement. Starlight tours is a phrase coined by the residents of Saskatoon. Police in Saskatoon would find drunken Native American teens and make it seem like they were detaining them. In reality, however, they would drop them off in a field far away from any civilization, leaving them to freeze to death or die of hunger. They decided to call it this as the police would take these teenagers and drive them on, quote-unquote, a tour under the stars. There has been many instances of this happening, leading to multiple deaths, including the most well-known death and the first in this series of murders, Neil Stonechild. November 24th, 1990. The winds...
And so this was just one of the first major ones where somebody actually died. Remember, old boy survived in 76, but this is one of the first big ones where they actually could connect, you know, death. Regardless, the Edomites didn't get charged.
A little hard, reaching a temperature of negative 28 degrees Celsius. A young Neil Stonechild, at the age of 17, goes out after supper to get a drink with a friend. Later that night, a complaint is sent about noisy teenagers in an apartment complex. The last time Stonechild was seen alive was by his friend, Jason Roy, who saw Neil's face pressed against the glass of a police cruiser. 2 days later, a group of farmers find a body in a deserted field laying face down in the snow. The body is covered in blood and there are tears in the skin around his wrists, a mark of handcuffs worn too tight. It was reported that a Saskatoon police cruiser had been seen driving out towards that location with a teenager in the back seat, but all allegations were denied. It was decided that there was not enough evidence to accuse the police of any wrongdoing.
Neil Stonechild's frozen body was found on the outskirts of Saskatoon in November of 1990. He died of hypothermia.
Hey, look, man, you know these is the old clips, because when people dead in today's time, they don't show it no more. But that's him right there. Laid the fuck out, man. I might have to set this to 18 and up. Laid out cold.
And his death was labeled accidental. But an inquiry is set for this fall to examine how the police investigation was handled.
Much of that evidence is coming from this man, Jason Roy. He was a friend of Neil's and says he was with them the day he disappeared.
The next time I saw him, he was in the back of a police car.
According to the inquiry report, that was the last time Neil Stonechild was seen alive. It took until 2003 and an inquiry into his death for them to get answers and to share their story. The inquiry established through Jason Roy's testimony that Neil Stonechild was with 2 police officers the night he disappeared. The 2 officers named in the report, Constables Larry Hartwig and Bradley Singer, they have never been found criminally responsible for Stonechild's death.
The minister also offered an apology to Stella Bignell, Stonechild's mother.
She's back now to find out who was responsible for the death of her son, Neil Stonechild.
He was a boy. He was only 17. He never had a chance to become a man.
Police had been accused of mistreating Aboriginal men before, and Stonechild is one of 3 men found frozen since 1990.
Of course, the final question that remains unanswered is who killed Neil Stonechild. Final question that remains unanswered is who killed Neil.
Hey, Salaka, y'all. Hey, look, I'm pausing it right here for a reason. You know, that's so not only did they, you know, throw him out there freezing, but they put the beats on him beforehand. They didn't just let him. They made sure he had the absolute worst chance of survival possible. And so, you think this only happened about 2-3 times? We just saw 130,000, right? And that's just what we potentially know about. Let me go get this real quick. When Esau Edom first came here, this prophecy was fulfilled. Genesis 49:19, it says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. Hey, he truly did overcome the Gadites, right, the so-called Native American Indians, which it does stretch up here too. You know, the Canadian Gadites as well, because all Northern Kingdom did, they came here and they just spread out, right? Gad and Reuben. They were overcome, completely overwhelmed by this man's technology and weaponry. You know, he used disease warfare as well. And still to this day, our people find themselves, specifically, you know, the so-called Native Indian tribes, Gad and them, right? Gad and Reuben. They're so down, defeated, y'all. It's not even funny. But what Esau forgot about was the last part of this verse. But he shall overcome at the last. Everything that he did to our people, we're going to give it back to Esau and some. And he's not going to be ready for it. He's not going to be ready for it at all. This is going to be nothing compared to what he's done to us. We're going to overcome him. Not just Gad, all the tribes. The nation of Israel will overcome all of our enemies. All the heathen.
Larry Hartwig, one of the police officers accused of murdering Neil Stonechild, has denied all accusations against him.
Look at him smiling, the one on the right, because he knew he was going to get away with it. You know, they're demons. He himself probably had a child around the same age and had no issue going out there and killing somebody. Same age as his own damn child. Cold-blooded, heartless, demons, and that's in the spirit of all of them.
Meaning that it was not possible for him to have driven Neil Stonechild out that night.
On November 24th, 1990, did you have Neil Stonechild in the back of your car?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
There's pure liar.
The evidence all indicates that.
Apparently, Neil's body was found in this area, just to the south here. The first I heard about stuff like this happening was prior to the inquiry, or at the inquiry. Brett Mackey was a police officer, testified at the public inquiry, and said police officers unarrest people all the time. You know, like I said before, what ass would do that, right? What person would take a guy from a drunk, obnoxious guy involved in a disturbance from one location, drive him to another location, drop him off? You only move the problem. You don't solve the problem.
You people, you Edomites, the so-called white man, that's who. What ass? You. Once again, they do the evil and they escape the blame. You know, they speak sweetly, they appear to be good, they appear to be holy, but they are insidious. They are evil, hidden and lying within. Sirach 14:7. And if he doth good, he doeth it unwillingly. And at the last, he will declare his wickedness. That's this man. He pretends to be a good officer, saving lives, helping grandmothers across the street. And this guy is torturing people to their death, R-wording women in an exchange to let them go for tickets, separating, destroying households, killing people and lying on paper and saying that, you know, he made me scared. And this is just the low level. This is just dealing with, there's some law enforcement shit, right? He does this on a grand scale, wiping out villages, wiping out habitats, changing the law and order of the things of the world. And videos like this only have 17,000 views. Meanwhile, how to put on a dildo, I bet you if I type that in, it probably has close to 2 billion views or some shit.
You only move the problem.
This murder left an uneasy ripple in the town of Saskatoon. Trust was degraded and worry rose. What used to be calm and peaceful was now swarming with lawyers and news reporters. It also shattered the Stonechild family. Stella Bignell, the mother of Neil Stonechild, was reported as saying, "I prayed for something to come out of all this. I never ever want to see parents go through what I've had to go through all these years." But this wasn't the first time Saskatoon police had been accused for corruption, from cases of sexual assault to domestic violence, and it wouldn't be the last. The Starlight Tours were more than just a string of deaths from 1990 to 2003. Starlight Tours are an ongoing problem dating back to 1969. Aboriginal men would be driven out to the country and left there, but not being taken far enough away or not being cold enough for it to kill them. Many people tried to file lawsuits against the police station and were all proven innocent in the court. After each case was closed without question, the Native American community began to realize that the rumors they had been hearing may be true.
And so now you have to put to mind, y'all, and that might have to be, I might make a whole series out of this, just looking into some of the shit going on in Gad and Reuben. Because keep in mind, here in America, you have Native American women that go missing by the thousands monthly. So do that in a year, tens of thousands yearly. Who do you think is snatching them up and doing things to them? You do the fucking math.
Daryl Knight, a survivor of a Starlight Tour incident, was leaving a party that had gotten out of hand. As he was leaving, a police car pulled up beside him, handcuffed him, and forced him into the cruiser.
I got outside. I seen 2 cars. And
So this guy right here, Daryl Knight, y'all, this was the guy from the first video. First video was simply animated. This is the actual man himself, Daryl Knight. You know, so the Lord, whatever happens to him, right? I'm not saying he's of the elect, but the Lord had him survive this instance for a reason, so that this shameful spewing could come upon Esau, Edom.
must have thought I was the one causing the problems or something. Handcuffed me and took me to the car, and I'm thinking I didn't break no laws, so
So many people have had the memories of these events imprinted into their minds. The fear of not being able to go outside.
So, you know, that's really about it for this video, man. Boy, you know, hey, you know, it's easy to say what you could do, what you would do in this situation. But they ain't survived. Many of them ain't survived it for a reason, y'all. You know, that shit ain't no motherfucking joke. You know, I would like to believe that, you know, I would have tried to fight and kill one of the motherfuckers, or both of them, and take the squad car, but that's easy to say until you find yourself in a situation like that. Simply put, the Lord has to be with you to not goddamn turn into an icicle out there. And once again, the obvious man, the elephant in the room, the common denominator is always Esau Edom. Wherever there's trouble, there's him. And he's able to magically disappear off into the background while everybody else dies. All right. He pretends that he's good. He pretends that he's holy, and he's not. And now we have this internet, and we've been revealing him, and he doesn't like it one bit. Psalms 55:20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. And that's the spirit that he carries to this day, y'all. To this day, he pretends to be right. He pretends to be holy. He pretends to care. He pretends that he's doing things to clean the environment, to better, you know, humans' living conditions on the face of the earth. And he's nothing but a killer, a thief, a liar, a murderer, a slanderer, a blasphemer, a wretch, a demon. And we simply cannot wait until the day that he gets put down and exterminated. Gad and Reuben, especially, they're going to have fun with it. They're going to have some real fun with you Edomites for everything that you did. And some. All right, and ultimately, us, the Israelites, we're going to have the last laugh in the end. He did all these things to, you know, in an attempt to wipe out our people, wipe out our numbers, wipe out our population, when in the end, we're going to wipe him out. That's the irony in it all. We're going to pull away his remembrance from off the face of the earth. We're going to show him how it's done. Job 18:17, it says, his remembrance shall perish from the earth, and he shall have no name in the street. One more to go with it. He tried to exterminate us. He tried to sweep us under the rug. He tried to kill us off in the shadows. We're going to do it openly and in the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. You Edomites will not prevail against the sons of Jacob. Isaiah 14:21 says, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will rise up against him, saith Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew, saith the Lord. All right, so we're going to cut this man off. He tried to cut us off. We're going to cut him off. Brutally so. And you best believe, we're gonna make some of you, we're gonna make many of y'all do the same thing right here. Yeah, that's it, y'all. I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem, Wakakurash, to honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all the Akim Wa Aqua, learning and teaching in truth and sincerity. Shalom.